Hello, and welcome back to Things We Dig. On today's episode, we are going to talk about episode 2 of HBO Max's The Last of Us.
Hey,
So, as always, I'm Chris Fig.
and I am the other Chris.
All right, man. So, we talked about the first episode. We initially first liked it. What are your thoughts of the second episode? Do you feel like it's following suit with the first episode of how much we like that one?
Yeah, man, for sure. I think it improved upon it. My only real gripe with the first episode, I think it set everything up well, was what's her name? Bella Ramsey's acting a little bit. I mean, she's young, and I'm comparing her to people like Pedro Pascal and stuff. But in this one, I think she showed a little bit less of the things I didn't like and a little bit more of the things I did. So I hope it's a continuing trend of that. Like maybe, she's got to get into the groove of the character. Could also be a little bit of the writing too. Sometimes when they try to make kids sound like hard asses, it's very hard to make that come across as like believable. So I like that she's adding a little bit more of like humor and sarcasm into it than trying to be like a badass.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you on that. I feel like she definitely has great chemistry, especially her comebacks and her wit, the banter she has with Pedro Pascal. And yeah, I would say there's just a few parts where she's like adding in a cuss word, which I guess makes sense for a teenager. You know, you learn how to cuss or you start cussing and you just think you have to insert it into every single sentence that you're saying.
Right.
So I guess that works in that favor. But yeah, the overall second episode I really enjoyed. I love seeing the aspect of how the outside world looks. And if you guys aren't, didn't watch the first episode we did, I haven't played the game. So just kind of the cinematography and the way, the show creators, edit it and how the world looks. It's in shambles. And I think they did a really good job, especially playing off like the spores. You see the spores everywhere, and it's just like a vastness. And then you can see Tessa's explaining to Ellie, she's asking like how many are there and how the spore works and how they're all connected. And you see they're like feeding, they're savages at this point, as sad as it is. So it was really great to see that whole aspect of it. And just the tension of this episode was really well done and kept me on the seat of my pants.
Yeah, I definitely liked how they use both. Like it seems like I hope they keep doing a flashback maybe before every episode. They used that one with the scientist that was so well done, as well as Tess's, extrapolation to Ellie. Like they use those two things to kind of give you little crumbs of what's going on in the world. And I think it's nice they're not just dumping it all on you at one time, and they're showing it to you like in different ways, both through the flashback and through conversations. And that flashback, man, was really crazy, really well done. I was kind of like on the edge of my seat the whole time. I swear when she stuck her fingers in that thing's mouth, I was like, oh, it's gonna bite her fucking fingers off, dude. It's gonna come to life and bite her fucking fingers off, like for sure. But it didn't. And then when the dude was like, what should we do? She's like, I'm going home to be with my family, man. I think you should bomb the fuck out of the city. It was crazy.
Yeah, I totally. Not that I forgot about it, but yeah, that scene and she's a scientist, a really well respected scientist. They found her specifically to kind of help out, and I don't know if he's a soldier, a police officer, or
He seems
someone.
someone in the military, yeah.
Right. And that actor, they both, again, I feel like the intensity, and he's just like, so, as you said, what do we do? And she's like, bomb it, bomb the whole place. She's like, there's no medicine, there's no cure for anything like this. And as you said, I just want to go be with my family because seems like the end of
And
days. And yeah, that set it up. You're like, oh,
and then you see in the streets later the callback, like the bomb holes, and she's like, yeah, they started bombing cities. It worked better here than other places. And you're like, damn, they actually, got that crazy that quickly.
yeah. And I would say, going back to Joel, Ellie, or Joel, yeah, Joel, Ellie, and Tess, and how it still feels like a video game. Them
Yeah.
exploring, them with their flashlights and going through these crazy rundown cities and underground of it. So I still love that aspect of it. But we get our first glimpse of the clickers. And I know people from who really enjoy the game, I know that was something that had to be important. So what were your thoughts on the design and the overall looks of the clickers?
Just to touch really quickly on what you were saying about like it feeling like a video game, man, I had that thought for sure, especially when they get to that blocked rock path and they're like, oh, I got to split up and go this way, you go another way. Like that was totally like that in the game. They come to a lot of parts like that where like you and Ellie had to split up, or you and Tess, or just playing games in general. And it's cool how they film it and make it have that video game feel without being like cheesy or shoehorned in. So I really am enjoying that. But the clickers, man, they knocked it out of the park with this, both in how they moved and the makeup and special effects and the sounds and the way that Tess and him reacted to them, like how scared they were based on you've seen them be kind of hard asses, we're bad people, we're not scared of anything, and they instantly are like, no nonsense. This is all business if these things are in the vicinity. And you could tell Ellie was like, holy shit, what are we going to go up against? Like what hurt this guy in the hallway when he was all ripped apart?
Yeah, and just the noise they make, and going back to the video game aspect, how they're hiding and they're going around the corners, and then when they finally, you see the point where the clickers kind of catch their a glimpse of them, and then they start attacking, and just that whole sequence, the action. I feel like the way that it was shot too was really well done. It kind of had I think it was they had some hand cam action too, which made it feel sort of like Rocky, and just the intensity of everything going on. And even Allie says, she's like how frightened I was, and as you were saying, like, yeah, these are things not to be messed with, because if one clicker knows where you're at, and as I was mentioning earlier, how they're all connected, they will all eventually find you,
Yeah.
which, later in the episode, you see come to fruition. Like, yeah, like they figure out where they're at, and they kind of work in unison to go to that specific area. And the end of the episode, how the HBO always does the behind the scenes kind of thing. They hired actual fans to play the clickers, because they were like, the fans, as I mentioned in the first episode, it's such a beloved game, and people just are super fans of The Last of Us, the video game. So they were like, we know what the clickers are supposed to like walk like, and how they're supposed to kind of react, and just their
That's awesome.
motions. So I thought it was a really cool kind of tidbit. Like, that would be so awesome to be like, hey, that's me. I'm clicker number one.
Hey,
So
I'll be clicker
yeah.
number two.
Yeah, man. So yeah, so I guess going into further in the episode, we see that Tess has been infected, and the clickers, they're on their way. They have to make a decision. Tess sacrifices herself, man. What'd you think of that whole sequence?
Well, I really liked when she showed the bite to Joel, like just the little subtle things they do to set up, like the world building in this. Like it leaves a lot for you to do. Like you've seen everything they've been through together. They're partners. He got asked by Ellie about their romantic past, and kind of, there's illusion of maybe there's something there. And he instantly like jumps back and points his gun at her, like, all that's gone. That's all cut off. You're now an infected. Like I was like, oh shit. There is no like it, I don't know, the empathy or anything. And I thought it was cool how it went down. And then her sacrifice was the only gripe I had about the whole episode, man. The goddamn lighter. Like you dump all this gas on the ground, you dump like 100 grenades out, and then you're sitting there fumbling with the lighter that you can't like just bend over and pick up one of those grenades and fucking blink, you get done. So that was the only thing. It almost took me out of the moment how much I was just like, pick up a fucking grenade off the ground. But maybe that's just me being a weirdo.
Yeah, I was thinking the same exact thing. I'm like, just pick up a grenade. But I guess the whole thing with the lighter, and it being live action, add to the intensity
Yeah.
of, or the tension of the scene. So I get it. And also too, there's 50 clickers coming in after you, and you can tell by Tessa's face of how scared she was. I mean, of course she knows in the next couple seconds my life's going to be over. So I do get that gripe, but also too is like, okay, they're trying to make that scene be kind of tense, and the
Right.
audience so there's a little bit of that back and forth. So sad to see her go. Was kind of hoping she would be around longer, because I thought her Joel had a good kind of thing going.
She was a phenomenal actor, especially. I mean, she did good in the first episode, but she really killed it in this one. So shout out. And it was different in the games. In the game, spoilers for anyone out there playing it, her and Ellie and Joel are trying to make it to the Capitol building, and they get there, but they're being chased by Fedra soldiers, and there's no way really to get away. And Tess has kind of had the same change of heart in the game where she starts believing in this mission with Ellie. So she stays behind because she's been bitten, just like in the show, and fights off the Fedra soldiers while you get away from the capital with Ellie.
Okay, yeah, that's one of the things in the behind the scenes that they said they changed it to be the clickers and not the military, just because they didn't really think they could sustain that, and using the clickers kind of added a different take on it. But another thing I wanted to point out that I really enjoyed is Allie being sad, like that Tess was going to sacrifice herself, and she tells
Yeah,
Joel,
yeah.
like, "No, we're not going to leave her." So, as much of a hard ass as Allie is, she definitely has a heart underneath that cold exterior. So I thought that was just a cool kind of nod to see like her true colors. You know, she has layers to herself. She's not just this rugged teenager who hates the world. She, in the short amount of time, connected with these two people, and I could just foresee her and Joel eventually becoming super close. At least that's what I think. Again, not playing the video game, I'm assuming that's gonna take place and that's gonna be their dynamic going forward.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say anything about the future of their relationship, but it's interesting how you see that he wants to like he was thinking about killing her at first, and the whole time he wants to leave her behind, and it's only really that Tess asks as like her dying wish for him to take her, and then he's probably going to blame her a bit for her death too. So I would say, gonna have a rocky relationship at least in the near future. You know what I mean? Because he's gonna be very reluctant, I'd say, but maybe that change of heart will be coming down the road, man.
That is true. That is true. So you got a glimpse, at the end of the episode, they show you what's to come. What are your thoughts, man? I'm really excited to see Nick Offerman be in this show, and he seems to be kind of a crazed, sort of bunker down kind of individual. He finds another guy and he's like, if I feed you, you tell your friends, everyone's gonna come. So it seems like the show is really gonna take off in the next couple episodes, and I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything about his character from the game, but I love Nick Offerman. Fucking Ron Swanson in this world is going to be awesome to see. So I'm excited for that, and I'm really just excited to see more of the creatures, and they've done really well with the action. I feel like keeping it tense, so I want to see how they show more of the creatures from the game if they do, and just what they change from it as well. That's kind of the stuff I like the most. Like, this whole thing with Tess, I didn't really expect it coming because I was expecting it to be a battle of soldiers or whatnot. So just those little changes and hopefully the increasing chemistry with the cast, man. I'm really excited.
Same. Awesome, man. Well, great talking with you. And if you like this video, please hit subscribe. Or
Do
if
it.
you want to listen to other topics that we dig, things we dig, check us out anywhere you stream podcasts. But until next time, later days.
See you, listeners.
Things we